Verse 48 says, and he saw them toiling and rowing, for the wind was contrary. So Jesus just came down on shore, and he's looking in the middle of the sea, and he sees the disciples, and the wind is blowing. He told them to go to the other side. And mind you, they're trying to go over to the other side. But the wind was contrary to them. How many times has God has told you something, and it seems, well, God told me something, this, that, and the other, but the opposite happens with what he said? Every time God, he's like, God, don't tell me nothing no more. Because every time you tell me something, and I go to do it, the opposite always happens. How many know that's just the enemy blowing against the opposite? Because he's the anti. So anything that's not Christ is anti-Christ. Amen? Amen. So he saw them on land, and Jesus was watching this thing while it was happening. And it says, he saw them toiling. So I looked up the toiling. Don't ask me what it means in Greek, because I forgot. But toiling literally means that he saw them testing. And it's a certain, you ever, they got one of those pins where you can put it on money, and it'll tell if it's counterfeit or not. I believe if it's yellow, it's good, but if it turns dark, it's fake. That's what literally toiling means. That they were in the midst of a storm, and Jesus saw them toiling, being tested to see if they had what they said they had inside of them. Wow. And he says, testing in Rome, for the wind was contrary. And about the fourth watch of the night, he comes to them walking on the sea, and would have passed them. That's the one thing I like. He says he would have passed them, but they saw him, and they cried out. The story shifts then in Matthew chapter 14, and Jesus says, be not afraid, it's me. And Peter said, if it's you, Lord, bid me to come. Now, when he saw them, first of all, on the shore toiling, he was watching them. And just imagine, God is watching every move that we make. And God is our Father. And as a father myself, when we were down in Florida, and my oldest son was learning how to ride a bike, I was down further from him while he was up there. And I was like pulling for him, like, yeah, come on, boy, come on. And he went up, and he was coming down, and he crashed into the mailbox. And yeah, I laughed. After I saw he was okay first, I laughed. And I was like, go back up there and do it again. So he goes back up to the top of the street and does it again. And he's coming back down again. And he crashed right back to the mailbox. And I said, what are you doing? And he says, I don't know. It keeps going over there. And I said, you have control of the bike. I said, the bike don't take you where it wants to go. You take the bike where you want it to go. So he went back up there a third time. And as he was coming back down, I was sitting there praying, Lord, please let him at least get it past the mailbox. He made it past the mailbox. And as he got down there with me, I was like, yeah, because I had the camera. So I was like, yeah, that's the sun right there. Yeah, he's riding. So he went around and turned around. I was like, yeah, he's smiling. Jesus is on the shore looking at the disciples. He gave them a word. And even though they was in the midst of a storm, they was going contrary, they were still rowing. They were still toiling. They wasn't giving up and letting the wind push them back. So Jesus on the shoreline, he's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Come on, keep on fighting. That's why he was going to pass them. Yeah. Because he's like, yeah, y'all got it in you. Y'all got it in you. So the story shifts to Matthew chapter 14. And Jesus said, be of good cheer, it's me. And Peter says, Lord, if it be you, bid me to come. And Jesus said, come. I need some participation real quick. Can y'all be the disciples? Staying right here. Disciples. Y'all represent, yeah, brother. Y'all represent disciples. This is the boat over here. Jesus, I need you. So, he says, bid me to come. So, we all in the boat. And this is the amazing thing is that, Peter is known, this is how the world is. You're known by your bad things, but nobody ever remembers the good things. When you hear them talk about Peter, oh, Peter, that cussing Peter, that scary Peter, that always talking first Peter, but nobody talks about Peter's faith. That Peter walked on water. The only other man other than Jesus to walk on water was Peter. So even though Jesus was on water, Jesus said, come. So Peter got out, and he began to walk on the water. Now, it took some faith for him to do that. Number one, mind you, It was dark. Number two, mind you, I didn't read anywhere where it said the wind stopped yet. So the wind was still blowing, and the waves still crashing. So in the midst of all this, he stepped out. So there was the command was to pass over. And now they're in the midst of passing through. So Peter begins to walk on the water to Jesus. And he goes to Jesus. And I know the Bible doesn't say how far he got, but I'm going to tell you by faith he made it to Jesus. How can you say he made it to Jesus? The Bible doesn't say it. Well, actually it does. Because it says when he saw the wind boisterous, he begins to sink. And it says immediately Jesus stretched his hand for him out and grabbed him. Didn't say Jesus ran to him. Didn't say Jesus hopped. It says he reached out and grabbed him. Now, if he reached out and grabbed him, that means he had to be close. So I wondered, why did Peter begin to sink? Well, Peter made it to Jesus. Ain't you going to say anything? I made it over here. I walked on water. I made it. Jesus didn't say a word. Peter's job was to turn around and say to the other 11, say, Judas, come on, look at me. You can do it too. John, come on. James, Matthew, come on. But he was looking for accolades. So, Jesus didn't say nothing to him. Why would Jesus say something? Because that ain't no big thing. I'm on water too. I'm being first. So he's telling, and Jesus like, come on, y'all. But Jesus ain't saying nothing. So because Jesus didn't say anything, Peter's attention was diverted. So he started to look around. I guess he ain't saying nothing. So, whoa, that wave was kind of high. And he began to sink. So as he began to sink, Jesus reached out and grabbed him. Thank you, brother. And said, why did you doubt? Why did you doubt? You made it. You doubted. Your job was, because I just said come. I didn't say Peter come. I said come. I was actually wanting all of y'all to come out here and walk with me. We didn't need a boat. We could have just walked on over to the other side. So Peter's job was to encourage the other one and say, look at me. Come on too. Or grab somebody. Go back and get somebody. In the midst of the storm, it's not about you. I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, what is the storm for? And a lot of people say, oh, the storm is there because it's for it to break you. No, it's not for it to break you. The storm is for development. The only reason why the storm is breaking you is because you're fighting it. Wow. If you're constantly fighting it, then God has to break you. You ever look at the documentary on wild horses when they catch them? The wild horse doesn't want anything on top of it or riding on his back. So they got to break the horse to get that wild out. So a lot of times you say, oh, I'm broken before the Lord. Well, why was you fighting God? Because when I look about brokenness, Jesus in the midst, when he says, Father, not my will, but thy will be done. That's what it was all about right there, for development. Because I know, God, I don't want to do it. But it ain't about me. It's about your will. Yeah. So it's not about, God, me fighting, you saying no. Because if you say no, yeah, God said, I got to break this dude. I got to break this brother. I got to break this sister. Because he's fighting against my will. Jonah fought. And he had to get broken. He had to get broken. So when you fight God, if God is giving you a command and you fight against it, oh yeah, God got to break you then. But if in the midst of the storm, that's development. Because God knows that there's something inside you that he needs to develop to get you out. I have to get you through some storms, to make you go through some storms. How else would you have any faith if you didn't go through anything? If you didn't think, how did you know about how to get up, how to climb out, to give you strength? So the storm is for development. So Jesus, he gets back into the boat with Peter, and the wind ceased. And the Bible says in Mark that they were so amazed that they forgot about the the 3 fish, the 3 bread and the 2 fish that Jesus just fed 5,000 people. They forgot about that. The miracle. And Jesus was like, why are you doubting? Why don't you have so much faith? Because this is what I'm trying to teach you. Jesus was a teacher. He was trying to teach them that if you have faith, you can do the same thing. So the Bible, go back to Mark real quick.